Hey guys, what's up? My name is Lani and welcome to my channel where I'll be talking a lot about my kind of goals and kind of showing you the steps I take to plan them and kind of go through and actually do each one. So that'll be kind of fun. So today I'm here to share my mid-year goals for 2022. The last year has honestly been kind of crazy for me. I just kind of been all over the place, and I used to really enjoy planning and being creative on paper, and so I'm trying to get back to that, and I'm creating this YouTube to kind of keep myself accountable for it, and I think it would be fun. So a little bit about myself to get started. I'm a physical therapist and a freelance photographer. I've been a therapist since 2020. I graduated during COVID, and basically a lot of things happened during COVID that obviously changed my life, changed everyone's life. And so my goals are pretty much all about getting my life together and kind of bringing myself back to what I felt like myself was prior to COVID. So I have my goals here written out in front of me. I have them in three separate categories: personal, career, and finance. They kind of intertwine with each other a little bit here and there, but that's okay. Basically, as each month goes, I'll kind of probably break each goal down, maybe add a couple, and then relay it back to my mid-year goal. So I think that would be fun for me to track. So the first thing I have in my personal goals is lose 10 pounds. It's pretty broad, and I'll probably break it up into smaller goals month to month. But pretty much I put this goal in here because during quarantine 2020, oh my goodness, I gained so much weight. I gained 30 pounds pretty much, and I lost like all my muscle. During grad school, I used to work out pretty much every day. I ate pretty much whatever I wanted to at the time, but that's because I worked out so much that it kind of just kept my body fit while eating whatever I wanted. But I kept that eat whatever I wanted mentality into quarantine without working out. So clearly it just kind of tumbled down into me gaining all this weight. And with that, I've pretty much lost a lot of confidence. Growing up as an Asian American, I was always kind of judged by my size in my family. So just kind of seeing how big I got, it really got me down. And not to say that like I hate my body now or anything like that. It's just my confidence isn't really where it was. And then whenever I do things, because I do dance as a hobby, I just feel so heavy and sluggish. And always on my days off from work, like I'm just pretty much sleeping all day because I just have no energy to do things. And honestly, like I'm always kind of in pain. Like pretty much almost every day at work, I'm complaining about something hurts and it sucks. I'm a physical therapist, so I really feel like I should be practicing what I preach, and I can't be doing that if I'm just out of shape. So losing 10 pounds, I think for me, is a really reasonable goal. In 6 months, it gives me a chance to lose weight slowly and healthily in the way that I want. And if I lose more, I lose more. Cool. Another reason why I kind of put this goal in here is because I want to start kind of doing my own workout program. I built one earlier in this year for a couple friends of mine, and it was basically based off like beginner friendly type gym activities, and I kind of wanted to always do it, and now I feel like is the time to do it. So I'm going to try to do that, basically going through it myself because I feel like such a beginner again, and seeing how I can kind of tweak it as I go, so that way maybe one day I can market it to you guys or anybody else in the world. So that is that first goal. My next goal in here is read 5 books. Over the last year, a lot of different emotional type things happened to me, and I basically wanted to learn a lot about myself, and I actually started reading a lot, and I bought a lot of books. But to be honest, I've only read like 2 of them out of like 10 of them. So reading 5 books, I think, is a reasonable kind of goal for me, because I know a lot of girls on here, like, they read like 10 books a month. Like, that's just not completely reasonable for me. I work 40 hours a week which basically means like 50 hours a week if you kind of count the extra time that I stay after and I drive to and from work. So I just don't have a lot of time in general with everything else that I like to do and my hobbies. So I think reading 5 books is a good goal for me. And I kind of want to vary what kind of books I read. I'm really into like adventure, mythology type, non-fiction, fiction, all the things really. So if you have any good book recommendations, leave them down below. I'd love to kind of check them out. I'm definitely not looking for anything like romantic, rom-com type thing. More adventure, more self-growth. I'm here for it. So that's kind of it for my personal goals. But again, I think that's kind of really gonna branch out into a lot of smaller goals from month to month. So that's okay. My next category is my career. So the first thing I have in here is get my CSCS, which is my Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist certification. It is such a mouthful. I've been kind of back and forth about getting the certification since I've been in grad school. I think it would just really help me learn a lot more about my own profession when it comes to the sports and just like outpatient world. And it also kind of helped me build training programs for myself and for my friends and family. So I want to get that done. Plus, I think it's a lot smaller and a lot easier than getting my orthopedic certified specialization. Don't think I want to do that anytime soon just because I know it's a big time and money commitment. So getting my CSCS is just a smaller, easier thing for me to do. And, I want to build off of like smaller goals versus big goals. So that will be in the works. The next thing on here is open up my Depop. I'm still actually kind of going back between Depop and Poshmark. I haven't done a crazy amount of research on either. But basically why I have that on here is that I have like a big pile of clothes of like streetwear brands and whatnot, and just like really cute clothing that I feel like people would love to buy. And just, I don't know why, but it just doesn't feel quite right donating it to Goodwill when I know I've spent so much money on it. So I want to make sure that it actually finds a home personally. So that's why I am opening up like a Depop or a Poshmark so that way I can sell that to, whoever and wherever. The next thing I have on here is open up my Etsy. Basically, I originally wanted to draw stickers of like different characters that I thought would be super cute, but that turned out to be a lot harder than I imagined it to be just because I'm not that big of a drawer anymore or doodler or anything like that. So one day I had the pretty neat idea to actually take some of my old photographs that have basically been in my hard drive just untouched ever since the day I took them, and turn those into stickers and basically make like planner sets of that. So I'm kind of building that now. I'm working on that, and I hope to have my shop actually opened by like mid-August for like back to school. But yeah. I do have like a sub goal here to do 6 sets of stickers. That's kind of my bare minimum in my head of like how many I want before I can actually open up the store. I think it's super doable. I hope it's doable. I'm just really bad with like organizing through my pictures and like trying to search for the pictures that I want to put into that, just because they're just all over the place because I'm terrible at organizing things when it comes to my hard drive. So it'll just take me some time, but I think it'll be a fun venture, and hopefully in the future it can lead to me actually selling my prints as well. That would be great. I just kind of like seeing my pictures everywhere, and I think it'd be really cool to share with everyone because people always tell me like, oh, these are great, but it's like I just could never do anything with them. So I thought it would be a cool idea. That leads me into my next category, which is my finances. Basically, ever since I graduated in 2020, my finances have been all over the place. I've tried to be as independent as I can. I'm not gonna lie, like throughout school I had a lot of assistance from my parents, and I'm so grateful for that. But it just kind of felt like I needed to do this and I need to do it for myself, kind of thing. But I've really been all over the place with it. So basically, what had happened was, um, over the past 2 years, I've had 3 different jobs, and with those 3 different jobs in the physical therapy field, I've had varying pay rates from being really high and really low. And I'm okay with it because I love what I do, but because of those different pay rates, it kind of led me to a lot of weird places. So during my first job was when I had actually the highest pay I've ever had. And during that time, I was driving like an hour away from home, so pretty much 50 miles, 100 miles every day. And that led me to pretty much filling up my gas tank every single week twice. So that would be like $80. And that was before all this like crazy gas stuff was happening. So it was just too much for me. And even though I wasn't really paying for the car, just the fact that I was paying for gas so often, it was like premium gas, like I just couldn't do it anymore. Like I didn't like it, and I was running up so much miles on that car. It basically was depreciating it so much that I would basically get nothing from it if I kept going. So I decided to buy a new car, and of course, me being the person I am, I went a little bougie, and I got a RAV4 hybrid, brand new. The RAV4 basically was like my dream car when I was little, and recently they changed the look of it and I loved it. And plus it was a hybrid, so I was like, I just can't say no. And it was like the perfect size for me and everything, and I honestly love it. I don't regret it at all. But the price on that guy is pretty high, and basically when I changed jobs multiple times, I was no longer able to comfortably afford the car. I still have it and I'm still kind of making it work, but because of that, like my finances are kind of all over the place. That kind of leads me to my first goal in my finances is pay off my credit card debt. Because of the different salaries that I started to make, I honestly ended up in a lot of credit card debt because I was still kind of living my normal life, but I was no longer making my normal amount of money that I was used to at the time. So I was racking up the bills. By the time I figured it out, like it was just kind of too late, honestly. So I'm hoping to pay that off. As of right now, I have about like $2,500 left to pay off my credit card, not including my PayPal. My PayPal is like another $1,000, so it's just a lot of money, and I'm hoping to get that down completely done and gone by the end of this year, so that way I can start saving for other things and being more productive with my money. So that's the first goal failure. And then next I have save $1,000 in my savings fund or my emergency fund. I am a big Dave Ramsey fan. I am just terrible at following the baby steps. But baby step number 1 is usually save $1,000 in your emergency fund. I actually have a third of that in my savings account right now. So I'm hoping to cap that off by the end of this year, and then that way I can just keep on saving. The next saving finance thing in here is that I want to save $1,000 for a vacation fund. Pretty much my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 3 years now, and we've only gone on one vacation together, like one pure no work vacation, and that was to Tampa. And I'm not gonna lie, like we had a great time. We loved it. We rented a little Airbnb that had a pool, and we just hung out by the pool a lot and just watched a lot of TV. It felt like quarantine times, but the only problem with that was that we spent so much time driving through traffic that it just kind of, we're not big traffic people. It just pissed us off a lot, and it felt like we wasted so much time. And then on top of that, we spent so much money on what felt like nothing, but in reality, it was just a lot of food, and it just didn't feel like the numbers and everything was really worth it. So after that trip, we kind of decided the next vacation that we take together, we might be going on a cruise. And so I at least want to put like $1,000 into like a separate savings account just for that. But I think it would be nice if I just had that money in a savings account, so that way once we do decide to plan that, like we don't have to worry too much about like, oh, where are the funds coming from type thing, you know? Da, da, da. And then the next thing on here is pay Tiff back. So while I was racking up all this debt, I did go on a trip to New York with my physical therapy friends. Don't regret it one bit. I was able to pay for my own flight there because this is when flights were still like relatively cheap. But we honestly went on so many different like food adventures, plus like housing and transportation. Like there was just so much other money involved, and I am very lucky enough that my friend basically helped pay for everything for me, but of course with the thought in mind that I would pay her back. And it's pretty much almost been a whole year since that trip, so I would hope that I would pay her back before this year ends, so that way I don't try to extend that. So I put that here just to kind of keep reminding me to pay her back, because sometimes I do forget and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have any other debts, when in reality I gotta pay her back. So that is on there. And then the last goal in here is save $600 in my Roth. This is an additional $600, so from July to December I want to add $600 into there. It is a really small amount, but because of where I am with my finances, saving $100 at least every month into there I think is reasonable. I also have my 401k in the works, but I don't really know what's going into it or what's happening to it. It's just kind of there working in the background. I mean, so is my Roth, but my Roth I have to like physically put money in there, so I at least want to put another $600 in there by the end of the year. That's $100 a month, and that's pretty reasonable in my case. So that is that. So pretty much those are all my mid-year goals for 2022. I think they're all pretty reasonable for me. Of course, I do have a couple other goals in the back of my head that I want to be able to accomplish. I just didn't really feel like I should write them down, because when I write things down, sometimes they start to feel kind of like a chore, or they kind of put too much pressure on me. And those other goals of mine, they're something that's very like, they're the type of things that like make my heart happy, like they're my hobbies and everything. So I don't want to put a label to it or a timestamp on it or anything like that, because really it's just what makes me happy, and I don't want to like pressure myself with that. So that's why they're not really on here. But maybe as like kind of my monthly goals go on, I'll kind of share a little bit more about that and see what happens with those. So that is pretty much it for my mid-year 2022 goals. I'll probably be breaking them down month to month into smaller things, more accomplishable things. So keep an eye out for that. I hope to share with you kind of my little like step-to-step processes and how I do each thing too. Of course, I'm kind of figuring it out as I go along, so you'll kind of probably see a lot of awkwardness and a lot of like mistakes happening, but I think that's kind of the fun of all of this. It's just learning as I go and showing you how I learn how to go, and that way it maybe helps motivate you to start going too. Going where? I don't know. Alright, I'm really awkward, honestly. I'm a little other like tidbit about myself, like I'm very socially awkward. I'm definitely an introvert, so I'm not really great at talking, and that's why I'm kind of babbling now. But I hope to see you guys soon in another video. If you'd like to follow my social media, I'll kind of link those below. There you'll kind of see other things about my life, and I'll also kind of put my photography page down there if you want to check that out as well. That'd be nice. Otherwise, I really don't know how to end this video, so I'm gonna just go. Peace.